Point of View is powered by Airtel Tigo Extra. Even our bonus data doesn't expire. You dey feel am? Dial *111# to activate now. Airtel Tigo. Life is simple. And Lydia Contraceptive. With Lydia, you truly decide.
Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show on television, and it's brought to you by Airtel Tigo. On The Point of View, we get the right guests on the relevant topics, ask them the right questions on issues that matter to you. And of course, it's an interactive program. It's live. If you're watching on television, you can join us with your comments on the WhatsApp number on the screen. And if you're watching on any of the social media platforms, feel free to comment. And we have a special show for you tonight in collaboration with Corruption Watch. And we're delving into one of the existential threats to the survival of Ghana's democracy. It's called vote buying. I'll tell you my approach when we come back. Stay tuned. So Corruption Watch, which is a civil society platform comprising CDD and other partners, did a work a few months ago into the MPP primaries and came up with some very interesting findings as to how people were induced to vote for candidates in the recently ended primary. Today we provide some evidence of what went on. We take some reaction from people who have been implicated in the report. We also speak to some practicing politicians. We also speak to those who did the investigation on the rationale and what they found. So it's going to be a packed show in the next 1 hour. Tell us your own experience, whether you're a delegate, a politician, or just an ordinary viewer, what you make of this canker that's growing in our country. I have a few people joining me via Zoom, and I also have a lot of evidence to show you. I'm going to start with two stories. So the New Patriotic Party's General Secretary held a press conference a few days to the primaries, and he was very clear that vote buying would not be tolerated. Indeed, in spelling out some of the key laws for the election, he took us to clause 13. He says it's an offense to vote or attempt to vote more than once. That's 13A. 13B is where my emphasis is. It's an offense to buy or sell a vote. Well, he didn't elaborate on what that meant, but it's very clear in the rules that it's an offense to buy or sell a vote. And then number 3, it's an offense to compel somebody to vote in a particular way or obstruct the delegate from freely exercising his or her right to vote. This was John Boyedu's statement that he put out a few days before the election. So key point there, it's an offense to buy or sell a vote. So the political party MPP itself acknowledges that selling of votes is wrong. Now let me take you to Sami Ewuku, the national organizer. We interviewed him on the 23rd of June with a lot of claims of vote buying. We put an interview to him during Eyewitness News about vote buying. And let me read the story. The MPP national organizer has said the party will investigate the allegations of vote buying during its primaries. The MPP on June 20 held its parliamentary primaries in constituencies with sitting members of parliament. There have been allegations of vote buying that took place during the election. Speaking on Eyewitness News, national organizer of the MPP said he did not witness any form of inducement at the places he was assigned to, but that the party will probe the allegations. Let me quote Sami Ewuku. He says, I heard allegations of inducement, bribing delegates, and all of that. But let me be very honest. As a practicing Christian, I never saw one aspirant or group of aspirants doling out money or bribing delegates. And I also never saw any delegate or group of delegates receiving money in that regard. I'm being very honest. Maybe it happened at dawn, or maybe it happened at midnight. Unfortunately, I don't subscribe to sorcery and witchcraft, and I may not be able to witness everything that might have happened in the middle of the night. But for me, as the party's organizer, that was detailed to a particular part of the country and monitored the process throughout, I never for once saw anybody either giving out or receiving money. It may have occurred on my blind side, and maybe it was just a mere allegation. I'm not saying it never happened, but I never saw a person. Then He goes on, we are going to receive a report from the Parliamentary Elections Committee and investigate it. We will investigate it. Let me be very clear that inducing a voter, this is Sami Oku's words, not mine, inducing a voter, inducing a delegate to, and trying to bribe his or her conscience to vote in a particular direction is inconsistent with the rules and regulations governing the parliamentary primaries. And of course, investigate, and if any delegate is listening, was a recipient of these things, kindly let us know. Let me repeat. Let me be very clear that inducing a voter, inducing a delegate, and trying to bribe his or her conscience to vote in a particular direction is inconsistent with the rules and regulations governing the primaries. And of course, we will investigate. And if a delegate is listening who was a recipient, kindly let us know. Great. So what did Corruption Watch do? Corruption Watch did a work in 7 regions: Northern Region, Western Region, Ashanti Region, Bono Region, Central Region, Eastern and Greater Accra. This week they released the reports for 2 regions, Western Region and Northern Region. So we're going to focus on those 2 regions. But we also have some information from the Greater Accra region when we ourselves covered the primaries. So we'll show you that information as well. But let's start in Yendi, because the investigation showed that all 3 aspirants in Yendi, in the view of Corruption Watch, tried to induce voters. Let's start with the Deputy CEO of Maslok, Abibatu Shani Mahama. Now, you'll be seeing some shots of people in her campaign team essentially meeting delegates. And of course, you will see a very interesting car boot. And you will see, yes, 10 Ghana cedis tax. Okay, so this is a vehicle with her name on it. Now, this is fresh 10 Ghana. I can see some 50 Ghana too down there. But the 10 Ghana look very, very serious. These are, now imagine a pack of 10 Ghana cedis is usually packed in hundreds, right? So that's probably 1,000 cedis. Now your guess is as good as mine how much money that is. So let me read what the report says while you go through the video. So this is money being packed, and there's another video that's coming of her speaking to delegates of what she's trying to do. Now people are actually filming this. So Agenda 2020, vote Hajia Abibatu Zakaria. Now, according to Corruption Watch, she exploited her association with the Microfinance and Small Loan Center to prosecute her campaign. Maslok is a government agency that provides micro and small loans to start up a business under the state's poverty alleviation program. Now, on Thursday, 21st May, Hajia distributed 1,000 Ghana cedis state money under the Maslok loans to delegates of the constituency in which she was contesting as a parliamentary aspirant, according to the report. Then, so these are people in and around the campaign during one of the engagements. Now, let me show you an address that Corruption Watch captured through undercover investigations, where she was speaking to her constituents. She said, although Maslok loans weren't to be distributed yet to Ghanaians, she ensured that as Deputy CEO of Maslok, loans to her constituents weren't only distributed to them, but also that the number of recipients were increased above what was permitted. Now, the video was in Dagbani, but Corruption Watch translated parts of the video. So we're going to air that video for you, where she was speaking to delegates at Yendi. But these are events in and around the campaign, and you can see this is money. All right, and the money is fresh. You know, the money is fresh and hard, and these were all undercover. The undercover camera work of the Corruption Watch team. I wanted to show you her speech first. If you have it, let me know before I take her interview, because the Corruption Watch spoke to her. So before her interview, I wanted to show her speech that she gave to the delegates, where she was talking about what she was doing with Maslok. But if you don't have that, let's just show her interview, because the investigators then called her to confront her directly and said, look, why are you using Maslok money to give to delegates? Let's take that interview. This is
from what we
a chance to respond.
Gathered, delegates in the Yendi constituency were given the Maslock loan.
Yeah, of course, there were delegates part of the beneficiaries, but they were not solely delegates. But as to how many delegates they were, I cannot tell because it was a mixture of delegates and non-delegates.
Doing that during a period, you were days away from having your election. You didn't feel that was vote buying and inducement?
No, I didn't see it as said.
And you didn't feel that was taking undue advantage of the position you occupied?
No.
It is Maslock money, that is state money. You've actually used state money to take care of delegates days to your parliamentary election.
I didn't use state money.
But that is state money.
It's state money, but the people applied.
During the event, you said you actually brought them more than the number you were supposed to give that place. And you also mentioned that they know that you are there for something else too. You want their vote.
So I don't remember mentioning votes. If I said I brought them, what I brought them was more than that. I remember. And like I said, I don't regret it.
But was it right that you gave them more than you were supposed to give them because you come from there?
How? What is wrong with that?
So what about the fertilizers?
As for the fertilizers, it was just one of the interventions that I do for my people in Yendi. If you follow close, they will tell you the kind of interventions that I sent to the constituency since 2017.
Okay, but this one happened days to the election.
Yes.
But it's part of the effort you made for the campaign, right, for the election, these primaries.
Of course, those who benefited were definitely part of the people who were supposed to make the decision.
So that was one of Corruption Watch investigators and journalists interviewing Hajia Abibatu on not just the video we showed you, but also on a speech she gave where she was literally convincing delegates to vote for her and also promising them some goodies from Maslock. If you listen to the interview we just aired, you notice that the journalist was asking questions based on some of the claims in the speech she gave. And I just wanted to read portions to you because I don't seem to have the video here. Okay, so let's just show you her speech within that period, a few days to the campaign. She was addressing delegates.
I'm just a deputy CEO. And you all know what I'm coming to seek from you. Apart from the Maslock, I've already given out a lot of things which are not related to Maslock. And if a person wants to go to Parliament, it is not your personal money you will use to bring development to your people. You will have to go to the government and do lobbying to bring development to your people. So whoever comes to seek your mandate to be MP, his or her links with the people in the government, and his or her humility and attitude will put development to his or her people. Though this gathering is not a political rally for me, there's no way we will do this without letting you know why we brought it here. Here is my Northern Regional Manager. He is aware that Maslock gives to a maximum of 5 groups in the Northern region. But I've not regretted the fact that Yendi alone has been honored with 35 groups. If I had not done so, you had the right to blame me because I can't have such an opportunity and not help you, my people.
All right, so that was Hajia speaking. She admits it's not a political event, but she was convincing them about some of the stuff she would do. It was on the basis of this and the videos that we showed you earlier, the stacks of money that our Corruption Watch journalist questioned her, and she denies bribing delegates. Now, still in that constituency, Alhaji Umar Farouk Mahama, who I've interviewed on this show twice, was accused of also trying to induce delegates. Now, on 13th May 2020, a little over a month before the voting on 20th June, Alhaji Aliu Mahama distributed 1,000 bags of sugar to delegates and opinion leaders in Yendi. Now, this has been his annual ritual since 2017. Now, on 20th May, the day before the Hajia one, Aliu Mahama gave about 800 bags of rice to MPP delegates and opinion leaders in the constituency for the celebration of Eid al-Fitr. He has been doing it since 2017. On 13th June, he distributed 400 knapsacks, 2,400 bottles of weedicide, 600 cutlasses, 400 bottles of anti-snake spray, wow, and 800 bags of fertilizer to delegates in the Yendi constituency. When Corruption Watch contacted him for his response, Aliu said he was not feeling too well, so he will speak on a different occasion. Okay, so as of the time the report was filed, they hadn't received any response. I've managed to call him. Farouk, he's joining me via Zoom to respond to the allegations that he was engaging in vote buying. Farouk, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Farouk, your mic is off. Please put it on your screen. Your mic is not coming. I can't hear you. Okay, I'm trying to get Farouk to connect with me because I have him on the Zoom to respond. And whilst it's on, please show the things you are showing there so he knows what I'm talking about. Provide the evidence. So there is Farouk. Farouk, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello, hi.
Can you see what I have on the screen?
Oh, yes, I can see.
You can see.
On the screen. Yes.
Okay, so Corruption Watch says that on 13th May, you gave 1,000 bags of sugar to MPP delegates and opinion leaders in Yendi, and you have been doing this since 2017. Is this correct?
I think, good evening and good evening to our listeners. First of all, I thank you for the opportunity. I want to state clearly here that I started doing this thing since 2013 rather, because having inherited a very good role from my old man, growing up, I knew he was always helping Yendi constituents. And since his demise in 2012, 2013, I started helping opinion leaders, taking a cue from the fact that every year he has been doing this. So I started doing every Muslim or every time we have this kind of Islamic thing, I started doing it, giving opinion leaders, giving Muslim community in the Yendi constituency. So it is not giving delegates. Opinion leaders are those who matter, the chiefs in Dagbon, not only Yendi, in Tamale, in Kumasi, the chief imam, and everybody that matters. So when you zoom it to Yendi constituency and delegates, I think they are not being fair to me.
So when they say that on June 13th, you gave 400 knapsacks and 2,500 bottles of weedicides to delegates, cutlasses and bottles of anti-snake spray, are you saying you gave that to, because this is not just rice, they are talking of weedicides, knapsacks, anti-snake spray and fertilizer. This one was it not given to delegates?
Thank you very much, Ben. I remember the last time we had our interview on your platform, I had the opportunity to tell you that before I had the ambition to contest for Yendi constituency, I came out with an idea because my late father, the late Vice President Alhaji Ali Umama, always used to tell Dagombes and Dagbon as a whole that our enemy is not us, but our enemy is poverty. So after his demise, through the Ali Umama Foundation, I also set up my own NGO, which is Partnership for Poverty Reduction. It was geared towards helping people in the north. And having gone through to do a need assessment of the constituency, I saw that farmers were very, very people that needed that support. So the Partnership for Poverty is an NGO I formed by myself, and I've been doing this since 2013, giving farmers, we started with a guinea worm invasion that envisaged in the constituency. We gave them, what's the name, True Friends, and the network my late father had. We tried to help them with knapsacks. We started doing this since 2013, 2014, 2015, before even I had the idea of even contesting for a position. So it's not something that I've been doing. I've been doing it, the word is consistently for the past 7 years. And
so when did you join Cocoa Board as the deputy procurement manager?
I started working in Cocoa Board. I did my national service in Cocoa Board. I started as an officer. I started in 2010.
So the 800 bags of fertilizer, where did you get it from?
But this question is a bit of, having been a son of a former vice president, I've inherited a lot of network, both Ghana and globally, and I have friends and have family, and I've got good friends who are into these kind of things. And as somebody that has an NGO, that is something that is fighting the poverty levels of the north. Obviously, raising this kind of logistics to help the plight of my people shouldn't be a difficulty, and it has nothing to do with my work.
So given these things 1 week to election, you gave it on 13 June, voting is 20th June, 1 week to election, do you not think you are inducing delegates?
No, every year we look at, before we do the distribution, we look at the farming timelines, we look at the calendar, and every year, yearly from 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, we look at the farming timelines. And if you care to know, we're in the rainy season. So the right time to apply this thing. Last 2 years before the primaries, I did the same thing around that time. And this year, I also did it around, taking into consideration the time they will need these things whether we had a primaries or we didn't have the primaries, I would have definitely shared these inputs, which I've been doing consistently for the past 4 years, taking into consideration the farming timelines and the raining patterns for the farming.
So when Corruption Watch says that you try to induce delegates with all these goodies, what's your reaction? What's your comment?
I think it's a very unfair comment. I've been helping farmers. I have a lot of people that we have a farmer database through the Partnership for Poverty Reduction. Every year we support farmers. We support all kinds of people in Yendi constituency, not limited to delegates. So if you look at the Yendi constituency, most of the farmers are in the villages, and about 30% of them constitute the delegates. And we are not only, our scope is not geared towards only delegates, because everything we do, we cut across opinion leaders, youth groups, knowing that a day like this will come, that when I become the parliamentary candidate, my eye is not going to be geared only on delegates, but beyond delegates, there are people who will need our support to vote for us. So I look beyond delegates, and I don't think that whatever we are doing is geared towards delegates. No.
Finally, this is not from Corruption Watch, but on the day, it was alleged that you gave women organizers sewing machines with 500 in addition to every delegate 3,000 cedis. This was just a night and a morning, a night to the election, that you give women organizers sewing machines and you give every delegate 3,000 cedis. Is that correct?
That is not correct. The Partnership for Poverty Reduction, as I said, every year from 2030, we'll be helping women with soap making, batik making, and we'll be helping every year. We design a program for them. We look at their need assessment. And we've been doing this for the years, and there was no monetary exchange to any delegates. And I don't think that it is fair unto me to say that I gave any women organizer or any person any such amount. I've been doing, I think my hard work has gotten to me where I am. And the other time, I even told you the Partnership for Poverty Reduction imported fridge to Yendi constituency after 30 years of lack of fridge in the constituency. And we have been doing this work not necessarily because we want to be MP, but we're doing it for our motherland.
All right. Thank you, Farouk, for responding to these allegations. We'll leave it here. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
That was Farouk Aliu Mahama. He says his Partnership for Poverty Alleviation NGO provided those resources. And even though he admits that some of the things were given a week to the election, he says it was not to induce delegates. We'll leave you to make the judgment. Now, still in Yendi, I'll just find out quickly. Alhaji Osman Babadani, on 15th June, 5 days to election, through his wife, presented a parcel of food ingredients to each delegate in the Yendi constituency. The content of the parcel included a bowl of dried fish, a box of Maggi, and a pack of powdered salt. I think he wanted them to do wachi, I don't know, because there was a bowl of dried fish, a box of Maggi, and a pack of powdered salt. This is all Corruption Watch got. They didn't interview him. We also told each delegate was offered 100 cedis cash. And then he also distributed 200 cedis to each delegate to help them to farm. When Corruption Watch contacted him, he confirmed Corruption Watch findings, but argued that the content of the envelope he gave delegates was 80 cedis and not 200. He also denied knowledge of the initial 100. All right, so this is the point of view. I'll take a short break. When I come back, I'll take you to the Western region. I have William Nyako, who led the team of journalists to do this work, to speak to us. We also have a sitting MP who is not going to be in Parliament next time because he feels that somebody out spent him. But I'll take you to Kwesimintim, I'll take you to Efia, I'll bring you to Okankwe North and South. I'll even take you to NDC as well, because there's an interesting one from their Women and Youth Conference. All of this happening in the next 40 minutes. This is the point of view. Stay with us.
Extra. To get extra. Be extra with Airtel Tigo's new call and data bundles. Live extra only on Airtel Tigo.
Dial *111# now.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Hello, my brothers and sisters. I'm John Mahama. The Electoral Commission of Ghana is compiling a new voter register in all parts of the country. And all Ghanaians 18 years and above are eligible to register. Whether you have previously registered or voted in an election before, you must register now to be able to vote in the December 2020 elections. The time to make a change is now. Register today to vote in December and make a difference in your life and that of your family. Your vote is your voice. To be able to vote, you must register. Register now, and let's do it for Ghana.
I'm just not ready yet. I want to wait a little before getting pregnant again.
Stop worrying and live free. No matter who you are, Lydia has a contraceptive just for you. Choose the Lydia Daily Contraceptive Pill with iron as your regular contraceptive, or the Lydia IUD, a non-hormonal contraceptive for long-term pregnancy prevention. Contact the Lydia Contact Center and let us help you decide how to live free. With Lydia, you truly decide.
Welcome back to The Point of View. Today we are doing a Corruption Watch special on vote buying. We took you to the Yendi. Corruption Watch did 7 regions. They have released Western and Northern region. Let me take you to Western region. But before that, let me tell you I have on the Zoom William Nyaku, who is the consultant who trained the journalists and worked with them on this work. William, are you there? Good evening.
Hi, Bernard. Good to have you.
I'll join you shortly. Thank you. I'll join Rasmubarak too as well. Let me read the Kwesi Minting case. Western region was no different from the North, where the primary in Kwesi Minting was fraught with alleged vote buying. Incumbent MP Joseph Mensah and his contender Dr. Prince Hamid Ama, who is the executive secretary of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, allegedly engaged in inducement of delegates. Dr. Ama, who won the poll with 222 out of 239 votes, allegedly paid 1,500 cedis to each of the about 200 delegates on the night before the election. He is also accused of camping some delegates at his residence in Anaji on that night, supplied them with food and drinks until the morning of the election. Incumbent MP Joseph Mensah, who polled 167 votes, is also accused of paying 1,000 cedis to each of the about 200 delegates a night before the election at his home in Anaji, Mount Zion. In addition to the money, he is alleged to have given them half a piece of cloth, 6 yards each, to female delegates, and 2 branded singlets to each male delegate. So 6 yards to the female, 2 singlets to the male. Now, in a telephone conversation with Corruption Watch reporter Frederick Esiama, the incumbent Joseph Mensah admitted to the offense, although he explained that it was the norm he came to meet when he joined politics. He said the system is now the highest bidder. This is the MP speaking.
Let me start by saying that our body politics of today, people who are going to campaign with you, this delegate system, it means that if you have won, they will campaign with you. Mm-hmm. So we need to give them some small inducement. I came to mainstream politics not quite long ago, but that's what I came to meet. If you don't give them something, they won't vote for you. Even if they vote for you, they won't work for you. So it is true. We have to save some money and give them some little thing to induce them to vote for you. It's normal in our politics now.
If it is normal, is it acceptable?
It is something I'm highly against it. Master, I'm highly against it. But that is the system operating now. I've been in Parliament for only one term. I witnessed when NDC were going to do their primaries. Now it's becoming the high bidder, gets the note. That is the situation now. I will not run away. I will not shy away from this. That is the system we have. If anybody tells you that that's not what we are doing, it's not true.
What did you give?
A widow's mite.
A widow's mite.
A widow's mite, yeah.
A bear tells me that you had to pay 1,000 Ghana cedis per delegate. You gave to about 200 of these delegates.
That's right.
A night before the election in your house at Anaji.
It is true. I won't run away from it.
You gave 200 delegates 1,000 Ghana cedis each.
It is true. It is true.
And you also gave them half piece of cloth, 6 years, for the female delegates.
That is true.
And 2 brand new singlets to the male delegates.
That.
Wow. I like the singlet part. Singlet. So he admitted it. Let me show you, finally, before we come to the interview, a fair constituency between income. And before we say that, when we tried to get Prince Hammer to comment, he said he would not comment. So he didn't give us a response, although the incumbent MP spoke. In the fair constituency in the Western region, contest was between incumbent MP, Deputy Minister for Energy Joseph Kujo, and challenger Dr. Adjoa Kwejibrea, elector at TTU. Mr. Kujo won the votes with 312 votes. Allegedly, he gave 300 delegates a standing fan, half piece of cloth at his residence. In addition, on the eve of the election, he's allegedly camped about 300 delegates, gave each of them 1,500 cedis and a 32-inch flat screen, high-sense TV. Besides this, Mr. Kujo, in keeping to an alleged promise to pay delegates whatever amount his opponent gave them, held a meeting with the delegates in the afternoon of the day and gave them 400 cedis each. These are all allegations. When contacted, he did not respond to our calls and text messages requesting for a reaction. Now, Dr. Adjoa Kwejibrea was accused of giving 400 cedis and a 32-inch television to each delegate before the election. City News called her and spoke to her this evening. Our Western Regional correspondent interviewed her. This is her reaction to the allegation.
I did not bribe any candidate to vote for me. And the report is stating that one Oscar, who is my campaign manager, affirmed that I gave NASCO television and 400 Ghana cedis. Actually, Oscar is not my campaign manager. My campaign manager is Henry Kofi. I did not give anything out. The only thing I did was that when I called them from their homes, that was before the elections, to meet them at the electoral area, I gave each person 50 cedis as TNT to go home. For that, yes, I did. But for giving them television and 400 Ghana cedis to 100 people, then it means I wasn't serious to win the election, because we were having 421 people going to vote. So if I am to give only 100 people television and 400 cedis, then it means I wasn't in a race to win. Meanwhile, I went into it to win.
For City News, I'm Akwesi Ejenim.
Let's talk to William Nyako, the consultant who worked with this team of brilliant journalists. William, thanks for joining us again. Good evening.
Good evening, and thanks for having me.
So what was your working definition of inducement or vote buying? Because we're getting different reactions. Whilst Farouk denies inducement, the incumbent for Kwesi Mintim sort of admits it. Some people say they won't talk about it. The losing candidate for Efia says he only gave 40 cedis. So what's the working definition? What do you mean by vote buying or inducement?
So, first of all, we, Corruption Watch, had been interested in this matter because even from the hierarchy of our laws, Article 55(5) of the Constitution requires that political parties must have internal democratic principles. And as you know, our laws prohibit any inducement, treating of any kind during elections. Now, our working definition of inducement is looking at anything that is giving which has value. So, for example, it could be money, it could be equipment, it could be appliances. So we connect what is given to what normally is intended. Why would you give a delegate money? Why would you give a delegate packs of food? Things of value. So it must be things of value. And you also want to look at the period within which some of these gifts, so-called gifts, you can call them inducement, you can call them vote buying, but it has an intended effect. What is the end goal that the person giving these equipment, appliances, and money intends to gain? So that's how we looked at it. and then came to the conclusion that in many of these constituencies where we believed they were going to be highly contested, so you call them the hotspots, and you define hotspots as a constituency where you are going to likely have keen competition. So in places where the candidates were declared unopposed, it is not a place that we wanted to look at. So we wanted to look at how many candidates are contesting, which raises the stake of the competition. In some cases, there would be just 2 candidates, but the contest, we can expect it to be keen. And we found that where these contests are going to be keen, there's always going to be the likelihood that some attempts will be made at, inducing delegates, giving delegates things of value, with the goal of influencing.
So when Farouk says that he's been doing this since 2017 with his NGO, and that he's been given to the Muslim community in Yendi since 2017, at what point does it become inducement?
So, and we did state in our report, we made distinctions between efforts that he had been making way back, including up to even 2017. So, and and as I'm sure Honorable Ras Mubarak knows it too well, you develop a constituency. So some of these efforts that were made were to develop constituencies. You want to have the bird's eye view, the long shot, so that when the time comes that you put in your bid, you have softened the ground. So whilst, we commend him for working on this constituency, as he himself said, 2013 all the way back, we also look at the timelines for which some of these, goodies were given. And clearly, if you are making distributions of 400 knapsacks, 2,400 bottles of weedicides, and close to the election, it has an intended purpose. Okay. And the purpose is eventually to ensure that you won. And he did win. We congratulate him for his win. But this was a highly contested.
Okay. Now, we heard John Boedu say that vote buying was prohibited. We've heard Samir Awuku say they will investigate allegations of vote buying. Have you presented this dossier to the MPP party hierarchy as the evidence they need to do an investigation?
We have not, but we intend to. As you mentioned, we did the investigation in 7 regions. And so we released 2 results from 2 regions. We have a lot more to release, and the coming week we'll be releasing more. Once we are done, we intend to send a report to the MPP and to institutions that have the mandate to investigate such matters. We make a distinction between people using their private money versus others using their office to facilitate, their campaign. So in this case, in Hadia Mohammed's case, she's a public officer, and therefore, if she's using her office for her private gain, this is a matter that the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, for example, should take. So we will present our report once we've done with all.
I'll come back to you to give me a hint of what the rest of the regions. You have Bono region, Ashanti, Central, Eastern, and Greater Accra. I'll come back to you on which constituencies you dealt with. Let me bring Ras Mubarak in. Ras, I want to show you something before you comment. I wanted to show you something from your own party in 2018. I think it's 2019, your Women and Youth Conference. This is Caleb Kuda covering that event. Just a short video, Ras, before you comment.
Adam, 1,000. Thank you. Abiu, 200. Thank you. 2,000.
These delegates from the Central region were seen cross-checking how much money they've received from aspirants. They were heard predicting how Broja Jemfi, a national youth organizer, will lose the elections because he failed to dole out cash to them.
2,200, 4,200.
A prediction that will come true. Here, they are heard mentioning names of aspirants and the monies they've received from them.
No wonder. 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 960. 960. Okay, now another one is on my head.
I saw fleets of pickup offload several boxes of food branded with the posters of aspirants. Some of the delegates were heard saying they received motorbikes but intend to sell them. This was not the only sight of women carrying flat-screen TV sets, gas cookers, standing fans, among others, with embossed posters of aspirants. These delegates tell me what they got from their aspirants.
Now, standing fan no chicha no when you there.
Me patron I menya.
Mama, also when you Dr. Hanabisu standing fan ni bi.
Patron.
Rice cooker no when you bi.
Patron ye nyina ye nya.
Aden na also nya. Okay. Mama also nya den.
Patron me nya TV.
Nya TV. Say na tie.
Patron me mbuan hwe. Yi no ko in box no mu.
When na the bro.
Ana no the bro. Shiro no nya me mo win. Me pese we win nti me baye. Nechi pa nyakupo sunta nechi.
TV nti na ni age na.
No, yes me ni age TV nti NDC na me ni age.
On their part, some of the aspirants who later became elected executives of the opposition National Democratic Congress NDC denied offering money or assorted items in return for votes. For Dr. Hannah Louise Abisu, the mayor thought of it as an insult to the delegates.
Thank you.
How's it feeling like for you today?
I'll see.
Your victory comes amid concerns of vote buying. What do you have to say?
I don't want to believe there's something like that. It's an insult.
Some of them got standing fans with your stickers on them. Some had money, others had cookers and all of that.
I gave cookers. No, so what I'm trying to say is that there was no vote buying here. It's an insult to think that when we go for elections, people give food, it doesn't buy anybody's mind.
National Youth Organizer-elect George Opare Ado says he only gave food to delegates.
Unfortunately, I didn't give the motorbikes and I didn't give the envelopes. You can find out. I gave food with my stickers on. Yes, but I didn't give envelopes with my stickers on. So if anybody gave envelopes with my stickers on, certainly didn't come from me.
His deputy, Adam Agbana, who was mentioned in a video to have given some money to the delegates, said vote buying can only be akin to the New Patriotic Party NPP and not the National Democratic Congress NDC.
I don't think that the NDC delegates are that gullible to be bought or to have their vote bought. No, that culture may exist in the NPP, but it's not in the NDC. But sometimes you may have challenges with coordination. Sometimes you may have challenges with some logistics that can make the campaign flow and the strategy not go on. Again, at a point in time, there was a perception that Edem had won the election already, so the other delegates decided to cast their vote for somebody else, thinking that because there was a person that was leading, they could not have affected it.
Several incidences indicative of vote buying at the just ended National Youth and Women's Conference here at the Pentecost Convention Center. You can choose to call it vote selling or maybe vote buying because there was a clear indication of demand and massive supply of cash and other assorted items for votes. And it seems the interest rate for the TAMP keeps soaring higher. Reporting for City News, I am Caleb Kuda.
So that was Caleb Kuda's report. This was 1st November 2018. Ras Mubarak tried to be MP on Ablekuma North. It didn't work. He went to Kumbungu and won well, but he couldn't retain the seat by the primaries. So now he's going to be a one-term MP. Ras, watching all that we've said and shown, what's your feeling? Are you going out of parliament because somebody outbought you? Is that a feeling we should have?
Let me commend William Nyako and the Corruption Watch group for the work that they have done and for all stakeholders who have contributed in making sure that we exposed some of these things that are a threat to the health of our democracy. I'm of the view watching the things that you have broadcast tonight, I'm of the view that the health of our democracy is in grave danger. And if we did not curb it, God save this great country, Ghana. What has really led to where we are is an unwillingness on the part of especially the major political parties to advance the frontiers of democracy and have a process where it becomes exceedingly difficult for people to buy the votes of delegates. I mean, this is, watching the things that, we've seen in Yendi and other parts of the country, they clearly border on vote buying. Take the issue of Hajia, my sister, Hajia Bahama, for instance, where they were distributing or giving out the monies. You had a branded vehicle with her image on the vehicle. You had instances where some of the monies were put on the vehicle, and clearly, if that wasn't a case of abuse of office, I really doubt, what it is. And I'm hoping that in light of what has come out, His Excellency the President would do the needful, because we need to clean up our political structure. We need to clean up the politics of the country so that, Bernard, people like yourself, people like the young people up and down the country who have a desire to serve but have not, been able to amass a lot of wealth or use public funds will have the opportunity of contributing to this great nation. And I think we can do this in varied ways.
Okay, Ras, before we go there, you were a former head of the National Youth Authority.
Absolutely.
And you won, I don't know which one came first, but you were also, you won quite well the Kumbungu primary. So if we are, so I just wanted to clarify, at what point did you win the primary before you became Youth Authority CEO or vice versa? And what if somebody said you also benefited from that Youth Authority incumbency to win the Kumbungu seat?
Quite the contrary. You see, in 2015, what the NDC did was very novel. We opened up the processes of electing candidates for parliament. So in Kumbungu, for instance, you had more than 15,000 people who were eligible to vote in that election, and more than 15,000 people who actually voted in the primaries of 2015. Now, fast forward 2019, we did it and took what I call a very retrogressive approach, by reverting to a delegate system. So in Kumbungu in 2019, for instance, you had 666 delegates determining the fate of who goes to parliament in Kumbungu, compared to 2015 when you had more than 15,000 people who are members of the NDC in the constituency exercising their democratic right. The point I'm making is that if you expanded, in all probability, it reduces the incidences of somebody buying television sets or gas cookers or motorbikes to give to delegates. And Bernard, there are examples of countries where we have seen leadership. I shared with you before the broadcast an incident in Japan where a former, Chief Justice and his wife, both lawmakers and indeed allies to the current Prime Minister, were arrested, indicted, for bribing delegates. They had been accused of spending a little over $240,000, to delegates in a constituency of the former Chief Justice of Japan. You don't see many of these cases happen in some of the advanced countries. But whenever they do occur, you have the systems working. You have people getting punished for, abusing their office, for doing things that clearly are in violation of the law.
I have the Japan story here. Japan's former Justice Minister wife arrested on allegation of vote buying. Now, vote buying is an offense in Ghana, I believe. So what are you saying? Are you saying that the people captured in these videos should be arrested, or what's your point?
What I'm saying is that
there are clear cases of violations. To begin with, there are even violations of the tax laws we have in the country. And you would know this. If someone received a gift whose value is more than 50 Ghana cedis, like a delegate receiving a standing fan or a motorbike or a bag of rice or fertilizer, that delegate, insofar as the gift is more than 50 Ghana cedis, is enjoined by law to pay adequate taxes on these gifts. So if you're even going to go on the leg of the tax laws, you probably would have a lot of people who are guilty, both the givers and the recipients. And indeed, in William's submission, you sought to ask him whether he would present this to the authorities. I think there is clear evidence, of malpractices.
Okay.
In our electoral, systems, especially at the primary level. And it is important that we manned up and cleaned it up. The way it is going, it is clearly not healthy for Ghana.
We'll take a short break. When I come back, I'll take you to Ablekuma North, which is where you were before, because the police actually moved in during the primary, but I don't know how it ended. So I'll come back then. I'll go to William as well. This is the point of view. We're trying to just understand the whole phenomenon of vote buying, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Ghanaians don't always agree, and that's fine as long as we respect each other and play by the rules. It doesn't matter who you vote for. What matters is that you make your voice heard and that every vote counts. A new clean voters registry ensures that no matter who you vote for, democracy always wins. Go out to register today.
This one is for all the children. If you want to learn mathematics,
I need your siblings to go online instead, but I've used up all our internet data for the month.
Get them Asanka.
This?
No. Asanka is a Wi-Fi device that delivers preloaded educational content for KG, primary, JHS, and SHS without the use of the internet and without the use of other data costs. You can order online and have it delivered to your homes, and also, one Asanka can support up to 20 plus devices.
And you don't need the internet?
No.
Wow.
We succeed with Asanka.
For more information and to purchase, please visit myasanka.com or call 026 57 33 200.
Come back to the point of view. This is a Corruption Watch special on vote buying. Let me take you to Ablekuma North quickly, because the police tried to move in when they heard of envelopes being shared during the primary. Let's watch. So that was actually a scene. The police were not filmed here, but the police at Otate police station at Blekuma North intervened to stop some supporters and aspirants contesting the primary on June 20 from giving out envelopes believed to contain money to delegates. According to the police, who refused to speak on camera, the manner in which the money was being shared was in clear breach of all COVID-19 protocols, as delegates were seen scrambling for the money. So it didn't appear as if they were worried about the money being shared. They were worried about COVID-19 more than the money. Now, the story says it's unclear whose interest the distributors were working. However, an aspirant in the election, Sheila Battles, condemned the development, saying she would not engage in any such act. William Nyaku, you've released 2 regions. You have 5 more regions. What should we expect in these regions? And which constituencies are you looking at? William, we don't have sound. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you can hear me now. So yes. You can expect more evidence of specific acts of inducements, that you can expect. For example, in some cases, huge and surprising amounts of even $1,000 per delegate.
$1,000 per delegate?
Yes.
In which region?
Well, hold on until the week you will get it. Okay. So there's a lot more coming. The purpose really is that we can help, start this national conversation, which eventually should lead to the reforms that are needed. There is an added interest in that it is not just individual members, aspirants, using their own money. They could be backed by special interest. In Ghana, unfortunately, we do not have a campaign law, a law that will tell you who gave what to who, particularly when they become members of parliament. So you don't know who is paying for the bills that will be advocated. And so there are larger issues of, for example, if we want to advocate that MPs, or an MP who is finally leaving Parliament should get ex-gratia rather than getting ex-gratia every 4 years. They invest money. People invest in them. And so eventually it's the public that tends to suffer. And it is the taxpayers' money which eventually gets used for this. So we are providing the evidence.
When are you releasing? When are you releasing this? When are you releasing this?
By Friday, this should be out.
By Friday. Okay.
We should be communicating some more information to this. But the purpose really is to ensure that at least we can get the political parties to examine their own internal ways in which they do things. As Mubarak said, you can consider things like expanding the delegate system, for example, where you have registered members of a political party having, say, 20,000 people voting in the primaries. It reduces significantly the ability of delegates, of candidates to bribe. You can bribe 20,000 people. So those internal reforms, and as what Mubarak has said, there have been times when some of the parties have expanded the delegate system, and there have been times when they've closed it. They should consistently
open the
system so that it will reduce incidences of corruption.
Thank you very much, William Nyaku, who is the communication consultant working with the Corruption Watch. Thank you, Ras Mubarak, MP for Kumbungu. I can't take your final comment. I need to say thank you to our viewers as well. This has been a Corruption Watch special. Great work done by the team. My name is Bernard Avle. Thank you for watching. We'll be with you again next time. Stay with CCTV. Bye-bye.
Point of View is powered by Airtel Tigo Extra. Even our bonus data doesn't expire. You the film? Dial *111# to activate now. Airtel Tigo. Life is simple. And Lydia Contraceptive. With Lydia, you truly decide.